You ever see anybody get pulled under a manhole before?
Not yet, but I feel like that could happen pretty soon.
You don't believe in the Ninja Turtles down there?
I thought they just took the pizza.
No, I'm pretty sure they're out there protecting our city by night and totally not mauling the homeless to death. Hello again, and welcome back to The Weird, the Bad, and the Bloody, everybody, where we review the weirdest, baddest, and bloodiest movies of the 80s, 90s, and 2000s, because let me tell you, there were tons of those in each decade. Some would say...
Too many. We would say not enough.
Not nearly enough. But this one is just enough for us today. Cannibalistic, humanoid, underground dwellers, or for short,
C.H.U.D.
C.H.U.D.
C.H.U.D?
C.H.U.D.
That's the French way. You might be able to tell. This is one of our first episodes for Weird, Bad, and Bloody. We've been able to have a guest on. As soon as our pick wheel ended up on C.H.U.D last time, speaking of which, we'll need to get that before the end of the show. That was this one. As soon as we ended up on C.H.U.D, I had...
about Event Horizon.
No, we're not talking about Event Horizon. As soon as we got on C.H.U.D last time, I was like, I have a buddy that I've talked to about this once or twice, and he recommended it to me and said we should get him on for our first guest episode for the WBB Weird, Bad, and Bloody podcast. So, cutting to the wide shot here, please welcome another friend, also named Nick.
Hello, everyone.
Welcome.
Nick.
There's now two Nicks on this podcast.
And you're in between both.
And I'm stuck in between.
In between two Nicks.
What are all you Nicks doing in my apartment?
This was one that we thought would be a great time to have a guest on. Nick, you're a big fan of C.H.U.D, correct?
Yes, I grew up watching this movie. I rented this movie on VHS when it first came out from the video store, and I think I paid some late fees on it.
Because you were just holding it on too long.
I was holding on to it.
Gotta watch C.H.U.D like, one more time.
So this was pre-late fee, like be gone late fee?
Oh, no, they gave me late fees, which I think were like $3, which is really pricey for the 80s.
Shit. So. Yeah, what is that? What would that be equivalent to nowadays?
I don't know, probably $2,000.
We want our
$2,000.
We want our VHS back of C.H.U.D so we can watch it ourselves. I feel like this would have been something that would scare a lot of kids growing up with it. But they would forget what it is because this isn't really a classic. It really is kind of a cult classic.
Absolutely.
So if you were to ever come across it somehow, because everything is on the internet, you'd be all like, holy shit, this is what scared me as a kid, you know?
I think it's a cautionary tale that needs to be told to the young folks. So I'm glad young people are checking it out as well.
What is the cautionary tale in your mind?
Don't believe the government.
Don't believe. Okay. You know what? I'm on board with that. Salute to that, actually. I'll be honest. Of all things to stumble across when you're exploring, a new look like recently purchased Geiger counter would stress me out. That's not something you want to exactly stumble across and find or lose. And you know what they could have done? Instead of finding their Geiger counter, they could have bought one with today's sponsor. Buzzle is a brand new free app that combines social media and the joy of shopping.
Buzzle allows you to automatically discover and apply the best coupons at checkout with their intelligent browser extension. You can say goodbye to searching for promo codes. Buzzle does the work for you, ensuring savings every time you shop online. So how old were you when you rented this? And first reactions?
I think I was 12.
Okay, so 12, and this was a gateway into these kinds of movies, or you were already? I
was already into it,
like the B horror of the 80s.
Yeah, this is the 80s when 8-year-old kids could go watch a rated R movie, and it was great. Yeah,
so, instead of that,
in a small town where movie houses just wanted to make money, so they just okay, kid,
one for Platoon, please.
Yes.
Okay.
And so what?
You have Born on the 4th of July. That's like in the same. But I saw RoboCop when when it first came out. Small towns didn't have any type of filter on.
This came out in 84.
84, same year? This is technically what is it? This is the 40th anniversary of C.H.U.D?
Yeah.
I think you are correct.
C.H.U.D.
The 40th anniversary. Oh my God. Great coincidence, but absolutely great to be reviewing this. Now, I did have a question, and this is one of the things we talk about. Time it was released, 84. Ghostbusters is 84, right? Nightmare is 84.
Chuck Norris is Missing in Action.
Oh,
is
shit, 84. So this is the time we're set
Princess
around.
Purple Rain as well.
Oh,
Yeah.
really?
Yeah.
Okay. So this is the time this movie is out. Now, when you talk about like, oh, when I saw this, when I got in and XYZ and stuff like that, was there like a long lasting legacy of this, or was it just immediately like, oh, it's forgotten about? It's one of those B movies.
No, I always remember C.H.U.D. I mean, just Cannibalistic, Humanoid, Underground Dweller, and just growing up in the 80s where being made aware of underground people and people, living in somewhat forged underground cities of old subway and sewer lines, was always fascinating to me.
Was there like something that going on at the time? Was there like, is this when it got, because like people had done this for a while, right? People had lived underground in
Absolutely. And
labyrinths
New York
forever.
actually has a long history of that. There's actually stories back, when child labor laws weren't enforced and they're just working and basically abandoned, or they showed up from different countries. And so kids would, band together and then live underground as well.
So there's a lot of foundational experience baked into this movie, partially.
I would say so. I mean, it does combine two great 80s factors, which is radioactivity and, underground, people living underground. Yeah. Two things that basically started to get brought up around 83, 84.
Do you think this movie was timely for the time it came out, considering how New York City was going through a really rough patch with like crime and homelessness?
Yes. And there's a lot of movies that are made in New York at that time where it's just, hey, let's watch it burn kind of thing, and just ran with it, unfortunately.
Well, yeah, that was what people were doing, right? They were setting fires to things intentionally, get insurance money at points, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Property owners were doing that, especially in the Bronx.
Yeah, they said the Bronx, like there's the thing is like the Bronx is burning every night.
Yeah.
Like that's exactly
That was a
right.
real thing.
They were setting fires to abandoned buildings and brownstones, right? Oh,
Yes.
God. That's fucked up. It's just
Yeah,
horrible.
And there was also a growing homeless population at the time, too.
yeah.
This all kind of comes together in an interesting story.
Yeah, this interesting story, I think, lends itself a little bit. It has a little bit more on its mind than a regular creature feature, honestly. What I always thought this movie had going for it wonderfully is the characters. I really always liked how it's kind of an ensemble cast of randos that have to come together at the end because each of them are affected similarly by this really random predicament happening, but they do seem a little larger than life. Like John Hurt and Kim Greist have wonderful chemistry as this couple, and he's like got his own kind of agenda that he's going for. He's kind of a smart ass, but he's noble in what he's doing. And then Daniel Stern is just like, he's just this wonderful soup kitchen owner.
Yeah, I like the weird team up of characters.
I do, too,
It's a
yeah.
lot of fun to watch, basically, people that have opposite interests and kind of personalities deal with the situation. Unfortunately, what's the girl's name?
Kim Greist.
She really gets left on her own at times.
She does.
She's got to be a damsel.
She's
I
gotta
mean,
be-
she doesn't really. She kind of saves herself, but
Yeah.
she's just a girl. By the end, she really is just kind of a girl to get like stalked and attacked by monsters.
Yeah.
But these characters feel real, like considering that this is a B horror movie at its core. You know, like I watched this movie and I think like these characters they belong in like a drama, honestly,
Or
You know what I
musical.
mean? Yeah.
Either way, yes.
Especially like with Daniel Stern and everything he's doing, everything he's trying to do, which is very noble and whatnot. And he's like, these people are my friends.
Yes.
I know these people, and they're missing. They're gone. I think they're dead. Like, and you're not doing anything. And then John Hurt's just like, I take pictures.
I take pictures. I'm not going to talk about the pictures I take until it's relevant, apparently.
I mean, it all comes to a head eventually, but yeah, I always thought this was fun to point out is like, oh, it's the only time we get to see Daniel Stern and John Hurt on screen together.
That's very true. And they work great.
They never share a scene in Home Alone.
That's right. That's very true. And I really thought that this could be a prequel for Daniel Stern's character later on. Like, after working in a soup kitchen for so long, he just gets tired of it and turns to a life of crime. So, that could totally happen.
I don't know. This one, AJ seems smarter than what's his name? Harry? No, Marv.
It's Marv.
Marv.
It's Marv.
Harry is Joe
Yeah, that's
Pesci.
right.
Everybody's good in this. Everybody's like, they're all giving it 110% in this, I think.
Absolutely.
Considering it is just kind of a schlocky monster movie, like by the end, even though what you said by the end is really funny.
The end is great. Yes, it is. I totally thought the story itself was good, but the motivation of the characters, because they had to pay extra money for those C.H.U.D suits. I mean, to get glowing eyes like that, you got to throw some money.
That's a pretty penny right there.
And I'm sure as things went along with the movie, they were like trying to cut back on certain other things just to make sure that the radioactive C.H.U.D scenes are relevant.
They have kind of a Jaws effect in this. They don't show them as much until maybe the second half of the movie. They start showing a little bit more and more and more. And then there's that one shot of them just all like around the toxic waste, like doing a prayer circle or something.
Oh my God.
Yeah, which is fascinating. Like they've now organized and have a religion apparently.
They look like watching this. I was like, the only thing I can sum up is besides their glowing eyes, they look like the Uruk-hai. Lord of the Rings, honestly. But they are initially shocking. When you first see them, they're very frightening.
Oh yeah, I think the first time you see him is there's this scene where this guy and his like granddaughter, or is it his granddaughter in the phone booth?
That's right, the phone booth.
Yeah, the phone booth where it's like we're stuck out here by ourselves at like 3 a.m. in like the worst part of New York.
Yeah,
you have a child that's like maybe 6 years old.
Just hang out. Nothing bad's gonna happen.
It's like obviously.
Come on, what could happen?
What could happen? And
it's
then
New York in the 80s. You're safe.
My headcanon is that someone is on their way to rob them, and then he sees the C.H.U.D come out. He's like, "Oh shit!" He just starts ducking, just running away.
Not even oh shit. He's just
starts walking back. He's like, "Never mind.
I didn't see that.
I'm gonna forget I saw that. Go rob someone else.
There's always a bigger fish.
I want to ask you something, Nick.
Yeah.
Why is the was he a police captain or is he
Bosch? Are you talking?
I'm talking about
Captain
Bosch.
Bosch.
Captain Bosch.
Why is the police captain's wife walking her dog alone in the worst part of New York City at the beginning of this movie?
Her wife is a police captain in New York City, so apparently she's safe.
Well,
that's not really answering your question at all.
I know. But opening shot, it's just like. When you find out later, it's just like, yeah, that's her. Why was she out there?
Why are you out there?
Why is he keeping it under wraps that his wife is missing for the first?
Well, I mean, there's a reason why.
Well, he doesn't know, but he like never talks to anybody else about. Hey,
he's kind of under the thumb of the nuclear.
That's right. Because I believe he asked the commissioner. I can't keep it under wraps anymore, or something like that in the beginning. So
yeah.
Is that him talking about his wife or? Just people missing in general. Who knows?
You know what this movie kind of reminds me of?
Oh, what?
Eight-Legged Freaks.
Yeah.
There's the toxic waste. Yeah. There's the cover up. There's this There's the corruption in a town. Spiders grow to the size of SUVs, and they go into the mines, and they're just like, oh, there's more of this shit. Let's just feed off this.
Oh god. Yeah.
And then by the end of the movie, they're just like, well, we're out of shit to eat in the mines. Let's just go up to the top. Because that's how the movie starts out. They're out of homeless people to eat, basically.
Yeah, they started running out. That's right.
Yeah, that's basically it. They start looking on the surface for just random people to pull in. And then I think it's even funnier when you realize, oh shit, there's not just one. There's like a bunch of these things. How many of these things are there?
No, I think that time in the movie, people were looking for things to blame for New York just kind of going bad rather than bad city and state government. They just wanted to look, point towards radioactivity because apparently radioactivity was an easy thing during the 80s to blame, not only for abnormal superpowers, but, for, mutation itself and actually, things turning against people itself and not knowing exactly, what this radioactivity or toxic waste would actually do to people. They should have done some tests.
Horror borrows from a lot of real life events, real life problems that individuals, not just like a community, goes through, but like in this case, it is kind of a community that eventually is shown to have just been not only forgotten and neglected, but just wholesomely abused. Also, just like the complete disregard they have for the the poor people that are most of the victims in this movie.
They're poor. They don't get any help. They don't care. No one cares. And it's a really true statement on everything. In our other show, we did Phantom of the Mall, right?
Yeah,
it's Phantom of the Mall, and it's just one guy that lived on a piece of land that land developers wanted to put a mall on. So they burned his whole house down with him inside. So there's always, for the sake of progress and money and everything, there's always some group that pays the price, right? And in the Phantom of the Mall, it's just one guy
who becomes the Punisher,
or the Phantom of the Mall.
You know, that's another theme in the 80s, though. I mean, with Poltergeist and everything else, like, you know, land development over Indian reservation, you know.
Yeah.
It's the man, dude.
It's the man taking over.
Yeah.
Well, this is what happens, you know. It's bad karma, basically. It's always going to happen, you know, when you dump a bunch of toxic waste, you know, underneath the neighborhood. Some bad stuff can happen, I would think.
Why can't they just take it anywhere else? Like, why are they just like, let's just fucking...
The goddamn EPA, that's why, Nick.
I mean, spoilers, they're just like, no, we created this idea so we could just like tunnel it underneath the city because the public would never allow it to actually like be taken through the city. But then it's all just left down there. Mm-hmm. It's like, you wanted to take it through the city, but then you were just like, we'll just take it through the sewers. Where is it going? Why did you leave it down there? And like, where was it supposed to end up? You know, it's like, is there a point? You know what I mean? I'm sorry to poke holes in this.
No.
It's like, I get it. We wouldn't have a movie, but
yeah.
No, I think it was more, again, the same theme of, you know, F New York. At this point, you know, nothing else is bad. You know, everything else is going wrong. Just, you know, they have all these layers of underground caverns. That's storage space for, you know, toxic material, apparently.
You know what it reminds me of? This is a movie I saw a couple months ago called Living Dead Girl. That one from like, I think it's like a Giallo style, like Italian. This girl comes back to life and starts like just eating all of her friends that are still alive because there's just there's this company, there's this thing in Italy where they're storing like toxic chemicals in
the graveyards,
because it's like, what do they call it when it's underground? Catacomb style, like the catacombs, internment stuff like that. And her coffin gets like hit with some of it, and it starts slowly coming back to life. You know, kind of like Return to the Living Dead or something like that, right?
Do you want a party?
She comes back not as like this zombie. She comes back looking normal, but just starts eating all of her friends and shit. But then she's like, I remember things from my past. I am a monster. So it's not quite C.H.U.D.
Arrested Development.
I'm a monster!
Do you think this is a good movie?
I mean, it's a good movie for me, I think. So I actually liked the direction. Again, the acting was actually pretty decent for a B horror movie. The characters were somewhat realistic. And, you know, for a Monster in the Mansion type of, you know, story, I thought it was well done. You know, good makeup, good costume, good story, and trying to be socially relevant, I guess, at the time. You know, so yeah, for me, it's a good movie.
Do you have any flaws with it? Like
the ending? Yes,
the ending. Yeah. So when we spun the wheel and it landed on this absolute treasure, it was slated to be our weird for the 80s. So I want to ask, do you guys think this is weird, or do you think it's bad, or do you think it's bloody?
To start, I think my initial reaction is when I first remembered this movie, it's weird. It's just weird. I don't think it's bad. I might have a different choice by the end of the movie, but I think it definitely is weird. What do you think, Nick? We have weird, bad, or bloody. What would you classify?
I think Shakespearean is the word, but no, definitely weird. You know,
Saving Private Ryan, C.H.U.D.
Yes,
WBBS now for Shakespeare.
Revenant, C.H.U.D. You know, that's really the order. You know, I thought it was weird too, but I love weird movies, and so for me, that's what makes it a good movie.
I'd have to call it weird too. It's just not bloody enough to be called bloody. Otherwise, I would call it bloody, because bloody can be good and so can weird.
Yeah.
But this isn't bloody enough to be bloody. And it's not bad. Like, there's things about this that I'm like, shit, if there's a little more put into this movie, this could be like a legitimately like really good movie. I think some things keep it from being that. Like I think at times it's well paced, at other times it just kind of coasts and whatnot. I do think the characters are, again, extremely larger than life, like more deserving than the movie needs. It's a movie that has a lot on its mind, but it doesn't actually like say what's on its mind by the end of the movie. Or really solve anything. But again, it feels like this movie ends before it gets to the actual climax.
And I think we could go. Let's talk about the most obvious part. We got to talk about the ending. Now, the ending. Essentially, what the government has decided to do is they're going to gas all of the chuds underground with like, is it just natural gas or gasoline?
It is natural gas, but like,
they're going to suffocate them.
Yes, but at no point are they worried about any other people living underground.
No point are they worried about that.
Well, there's no one left. They killed them all. Or they are them now.
Maybe, but either way, they're apparently dying, at the hands of the government. So.
Don't worry about anyone. And a couple of the main characters have found their way down there to try to help out and everything. So they get stuck under there. Now, again, they're also like saying, hey, we have to turn out all the lights. We got to stop the subways, because if we do, that's like a spark, and it's essentially just letting your apartment fill with gas for days and then hitting a match.
Dude, literally, again, this is eight-legged freaks. That's how they smoke the spiders out.
That's right. That's great.
And what is it? Somebody's parked a delivery truck on the last.
Some asshole. Like, is it the bad guy?
No, he's just some guy with a truck.
It was just a random delivery truck.
Just parked on a manhole trying to get the guys out.
Because the captain has to get in there first, and then he moves the truck.
And lets John Hurd and Daniel Stern out.
No, he's going to try and pull him out, and then that's when he gets shot. So
he gets shot by the government guy.
He gets shot by the government.
Yeah.
Yep.
I was waiting for that guy to get it from the Chuds, but turns out he just.
Why is it that I always
get shot?
Yeah. Why does I always remember this movie in a way where I believe that the government guy gets shot earlier? I don't know why, and then he shows up again, like he's shot, but still gonna try and put a stop to things.
That's because unfortunately the end of this movie is the least memorable part.
Okay,
because no one really because it's just kind of
it's memorable in another way. It's just memorable that
it's never memorable to me. I always remembered like the actual like what Kim Grease like trying to avoid the thing in her apartment. That's memorable because that's actually like that's like pure horror movie right there.
There is the great stuff where she has to defend herself against one of these things that's on the stairs. I do love the shot where she opens the door and it's like on the stairs and she's like fuck and slams the door. They get out of the place, right? They get out. Yeah. And then it's just over.
The movie just ends.
The movie's just over. Did we kill the Chuds or not?
Apparently a large delivery truck can explode without exploding all of New York while natural gas is being poured out of these. They survive, but like, is that really the end of the story? Like, did the natural gas actually work?
Did you get them?
What about the Chuds? It's just the very next day they walk into the mayor's office. He spins around in a chair. It's a Chud.
Yes.
He's like, well, I guess they took over.
Didn't work, asshole.
3-piece suit, ready to go.
Yeah.
You see that delivery truck exploding? That's the budget right there. That's all we got. That's all the fire we can afford.
That's it.
All right, that's a wrap. Wait, that's a what?
That's a wrap.
We're done?
That's the end of the movie, man. Those the Chuds look amazing.
They do look good.
They still hold up.
Good.
They still hold up. Yes.
They're frightening. Yeah. It's like the equivalent of seeing the Gremlins for the first time in the kitchen. It's like, oh, Jesus Christ. That's what you turn into?
Yeah. C.H.U.D 2. Now, we have not seen C.H.U.D 2. Have you seen C.H.U.D 2? They made a sequel.
I did see C.H.U.D 2, but that's when they tried to make it into a comedy. It's a comedy.
So they tried too hard. Gonna.
Yes, they did.
Yeah.
And it was an 80s, hijinks comedy thing to where, C.H.U.D's up to no good. He's out. He's loose,
C.H.U.D 2, Bud the C.H.U.D. It's 5 years later. 5 years later.
5 years, and they've decided, let's go back. But let's make this a comedy.
It's almost the 90s.
And what's so weird is that the first one leaves it wide open for like multiple C.H.U.D movies, and that's the direction they go.
Teens need to replace a lost science lab corpse and head to the local hospital where they find, quote, Bud the C.H.U.D, a cannibalistic humanoid underground dweller.
That's right. Maybe they wanted to make like some Happy Meals, toys out of this. I don't know. Hey, Mom, I want Bud the C.H.U.D, but that didn't happen. But the lead actor in that movie, I forget his name, but he ends up becoming like a huge film executive.
Ryan Robbins, American businessman, producer, and current co-CEO of Paramount Global. He has been the president of Nickelodeon.
This is what I'm talking about. And you should see
This
the
is the guy
mullet.
that turned a blind eye to Dan Schneider.
The mullet this man sports is MacGyver-esque.
Really?
Yes.
It looks like he's formed into society, and they don't look like chuds at all. They just kind of look like vampire-style humans.
Kind of. They're zombie-ish
Yeah.
chuds. Maybe
Yeah.
it's like a pre-chud.
They evolved.
Yeah. Looked like the rest of us. And so, what a wild sequel.
Like how you said, like, oh, we want to sell Happy Meals. It's like, come eat at McDonald's where all our shit's radioactive.
Hey, look, it glows in the dark, kids. You really want
Tell
this.
them. So with each of these weird, bad, and bloody movie reviews, we each like to give an award, a personal award to said movie. And it can be for anything, basically. For example, like if we were doing an Indiana Jones movie, I could say best, like, heart effect I've ever seen. Or, you know?
Something like that. Something that's unique to this movie.
Exactly unique to this movie. It can be worst or it can be best.
Yes.
Based on your opinion. I would love to hear Nick's first.
I would love to give an award for the shower scene and how apparently jamming a coat hanger down your drain in New York just produces a lot of blood.
It's really weird too, and I do want to say this because she's pregnant at the time in that, right? And so I was like, what is this metaphor?
I have no idea, but
I have no
blood goes
idea.
everywhere and nobody's concerned.
She just is like, oh,
Huh.
huh.
New York.
So maybe like least worried about blood coming from a drain.
Yeah.
From
They
your
were more
shower
worried.
drain.
They were more worried in the original Amityville.
Just embattled New York residents, apparently.
Yeah, it's just normal day.
But it's okay. We'll clean it up.
Well, what was the second award you give it?
Best ending. Best or worst ending, how you want to see it. Like,
Best worst ending.
yeah. I mean, the best thing about it, government guy's dead. So that's always good. And I'm giving a lot of spoilers. I'm sorry. But,
It's fine.
it's something we all wish for when watching that movie. But anyways, the truck explodes and nothing else explodes. But, the truck explodes, roll credits, end. Yeah. I wonder if that was storyboarded or if there was something planned out for that ending.
Something's on the cutting room floor. Release the director's cut of Chud.
If it's available, I mean, I think they were just like, we need one more Chud suit. So the ending that you thought of is it's all gone.
Zack Snyder's Chud.
There it is.
I gotta give Chud the award of this is the harbinger I think I've met before. This harbinger in because in horror we have the harbingers. Don't go into the woods. There's things out there. The harbinger in this is a guy that's underground that comes up to the soup kitchen with a knife. And what does he say? He jams it, just shakes a bunch. He goes, "They have the power to block out this." Is it block out the sky?
Shut off the sky. Or
Shut off
like
the sky. They have the power to shut off the sky. He doesn't even call himself the harbinger.
Yes.
He says, "I'm the harbinger."
I think he said something like
And
that.
I wanted to be like, I have met this fucking person on a bus before.
Yeah.
I was like, this is the harbinger
times.
a few times.
I had a roommate that was similar.
I have never met, the Friday, the Friday the 13th type harbingers. That's old dudes in the woods, kind of, out there, mountain men. They're just like, don't go in there. There's all kinds of stuff. I've met this harbinger before. This is the harbinger I've met. What about you, Nick?
Okay, I'm going to have to give it to most interesting prayer circle I've ever seen.
Nice.
And that goes to the Chuds underground around all the toxic waste. I don't know, man. It just looks like they are having like a good communion right there. Honestly,
They all walk out of there
that one
feeling-
shot of them just like, you know what I'm talking about.
Just wanting more toxic waste. Apparently, they're radioactive.
Tonight we go to the surface.
We feast on radioactivity.
It's like Danny DeVito and Batman Returns, just like, my babies, some of you won't be coming back, but tonight.
Yeah.
Straps rockets to each of the chuds.
Jesus
That's
Christ.
mine. That's mine. I always love that shot. I was just like, there they are. There they all are.
It's the shot we all wanted, and maybe that's how the ending paid the price, was just that shot right there.
Yeah, man.
Because they're like, we have one Chud suit to get through this entire movie. Now we got to get two. Oh shoot. Okay, well, $10,000.
So we'll do for this final part, we have to review again. Do we think this movie is weird, bad, or bloody? I personally want to change mine. I'm going to change mine to a little bit more bloody. I'm going to change mine bloody a little bit more. It is weird, but you know, with all the blood in the shower and the blood where people get taken and stuff, I'm going to call this movie a little bit bloody. I'm going to call this movie a little bit bloody, especially when the reporter gets dragged through the fucking wall.
That's hilarious. That's just
That
so
was
out
good.
of, that's
Yeah.
so out of pocket.
It is cool that you brought that up because, you know, when you're watching it, you're just like, whoa.
The chuds were like, finally, just like, okay, finally we have the budget to be in this movie again.
We don't have to go through an opening. We can actually go through the wall. It's okay.
Perfect. I'm going to go ahead and say bloody. What about you?
I got to call it weird because it is a bizarre little creature feature that, again, I think has more to say than you would expect it to. More good ideas to it that unfortunately doesn't quite get to follow through. I don't think it's because it just chooses not to, but I agree with you where it really does feel like they were just like, okay, over budget, wrap it up, you know?
I would definitely call it weird, but again, I love weird. So it is definitely bloody. And, you know, Chunk had a dude's leg in that movie. That's a good shot. So,
Yeah.
and the camera guy's head. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
The one line, it's a creepy moment where he finds like his friend, the lady he knows down there, like trying to kill him because the guy turned.
That's right.
But then that's followed up by a really funny line because Daniel Stern saves John Hurt
Out of nowhere.
And he's just like, it's okay. I'm with the soup kitchen, and John Hurt goes, thank God you deliver.
That's right.
That's
That's
fucking
right.
great line.
That was a great one.
That was a wonderful one-liner. That's the award I should give.
You're the
actually.
photographer. Yeah, okay, let's team up. You know?
Well, because they were both down there, and eventually
Yeah.
that's why I like the movie. It's like kind of an ensemble cast that
It
has
is.
to come together at the end.
Yeah. Perfect.
Okay, gang, we're going to spin our first spin wheel to determine which movie we do next on The Weird, the Bad, and the Bloody. This has 80s, 90s, or 2000s. Nathan, when you're ready.
All right, here we go. Spinning now. Okay, and we're going to be doing... Well, look at that again.
All right, turns out we're going back to the 2000s. We haven't done that since The Fog, my man.
It has been a while, yeah.
Oh, wow. That era is ripe for some weird, bad, and bloody. Mostly bad. Go ahead and spin that shit.
All right, here we go. 3, 2, 1. Is it gonna be not cool? Oh. All right, we're doing the Texas Chainsaw Massacre from what? 2003? 2003, I think.
This is the
remake.
Oh, dude, this was like the first. Actually, we don't need to talk about it yet.
We'll save it for the actual show. Nick, I guess last thing, final thoughts about C.H.U.D and why you like it so much and why you wanted to be part of, talk on this and stuff. We're happy to have you, but like your final thoughts about C.H.U.D.
Well, being a latchkey kid in the 80s, fending for myself most of the time, I really thought that it was a good cautionary tale, especially for someone my age watching that for the first time about, not really trusting the government all that much, which this was the Reagan era when he did want your ultimate obedience and respect, But, with radioactivity going on, who knows what it does? Apparently, there's no science behind radioactivity outside of, mutations and superpowers. So, but, it was more of a cautionary tale. It did resonate with me because, again, it was more community based, and it was all about another movie watching New York just kind of go to crap, and no one really cares. But still love the movie and the actors in it. And again, I believe that Daniel Stern had a bright future in front of him.
Daniel Stern went on to rob houses.
Unsuccessfully. Well, successfully unsuccessful.
Well, he got let down by the government. And he had a whole dream of running a soup kitchen, and the government just took it all.
Fucked him over, and he said, "You know what? I'll steal from you. I'll steal from the rich people."
That's it.
That's how you can really look at C.H.U.D as like a prequel to Home Alone, because he looks exactly like Marv in this movie too, like with his curly hair and beard and everything.
Jesus.
It's like, is this how he meets Harry?
Hairstyle staying the same,
Right?
1979 and proud. One last thing.
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah.
One last scene that I really enjoyed is when the police captain comes to talk to Daniel Stern at the soup kitchen. And, you know, this is the 80s where marijuana laws are still enforced, and he doesn't care. He rolls up a joint right in front of Captain Bosch and starts puffing away. And it's just like, yeah, you want to go? I'll take you down there. And that was it. You know,
I like to see that as kind of like, that was like kind of a power move. Just
it
like,
was a power move.
It's like,
yeah, you want something?
It's like, motherfucker, you came to me.
Yeah.
Like, what do you go? You really gonna book me over this?
Yeah.
Like,
I know you got a dead wife. It's more trouble than it's worth right now.
That nobody finds
You
out
need this more than
about
me.
until later. That his wife is actually the one who
Died in the opening scene.
there it is. Like, yeah, who knows that's his wife?
wouldn't it be funny if he was just like really worried about the dog?
Where the fuck's my dog?
Where's my dog? Did you have a wife?
What's
Oh
wrong?
yeah.
They're supposed to be cannibals, so they're only eating people, not dogs. Apparently, apparently they can hang them from a leash.
That poor dog.
Poor dog. It was a cute dog.
Yeah,
It was.
Little snowball.
Well, Nick, dude, thank you so much for
Yeah,
being
thanks
here,
for having
man. I appreciate it. I'm glad you're a big fan of this movie. We wouldn't have it any other way to have you on to talk about this.
Yeah, it's a real pleasure.
Guys, thank you so much for watching this episode of The Weird, the Bad, and the Bloody, where we bring to you all the weirdest, baddest, and bloodiest movies of the 80s, 90s, and 2000s. Feel free to check out more of our episodes exclusively on the Nerdthusiast YouTube channel. But if you're perfectly fine with listening to more of me and Nathan that's not weird, bad, and bloody, we have our own little podcast going on called 1.5 White Guys. We are on YouTube, Spotify, and TikTok. By all means, check us out if you haven't ripped your ears off from listening to us yet.
Not yet. Where we talk about movies that aren't exactly weird, bad, and bloody, but some that are weird, bad, and bloody.
What is the best movie we've talked about on there?
Alien Romulus.